Discover the incredible moment a billionaire saved a beaten little girl abandoned in a snowstorm. In a small, struggling town in the Midwest, Jack's life revolved around one radiant light: his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. She was spirited and fearless, her laughter reminiscent of sunshine breaking through a cloudy day. Jack worked long hours at the local factory, the kind of job that built character but barely paid the bills. Winter's icy grip soon enveloped the town, transforming warm homes into chilly prisons of despair. One night, as a storm raged outside, Jack was momentarily lost in thought, wrestling with the day's discomforts. "If I can just make it through this month," he whispered, staring out at the swirling snow. Lily bounded into the living room, her cheeks rosy, determination gleaming in her eyes. "Daddy, I think I saw Max run out." Before Jack could protest, the door flung open, and Lily dashed into the white wilderness, her small frame quickly swallowed up by the blizzard. Heart racing, Jack instinctively grabbed his coat, the weight of fear compressing his chest tighter than any day of work ever could. "Lily, wait," he shouted, but the howling wind swallowed his voice. Meanwhile, Lily, blissfully unaware of the impending danger, traipsed through the unwelcoming snow. Her little heart quickened with excitement and fear as the playful pursuit of Max turned into a frantic search through the desolate streets. Her tiny hands trembled as she stumbled upon a dark alley, a forgotten semblance of warmth amidst the bitter cold. There, huddled and shivering, was Emma, a little girl with tear-stained cheeks, wide eyes filled with terror and confusion. "Hey, it's okay," Lily whispered, instinctively kneeling by her side, her empathetic spirit igniting a flicker of hope in the shadowed alley. The warmth of her presence wrapped around Emma, easing the grip of fear that held her captive. Meanwhile, Jack, fretting over Lily's absence, was already cutting through the freezing wind, each step pulling him deeper into his primal instincts as a father. His eyes darting around, his heart pounded with anxiety. "Please, where are you, Lily?" he mumbled under his breath. Just then, billionaire Mark Thompson cruised through the storm-clad streets in his sleek SUV, memories of his own troubled childhood clawing at his heart. After years spent trying to escape his roots, the town he once yearned to leave now beckoned him back. Driven by an unshakable instinct, he pulled over and stepped out into the tempest, feeling a connection to the very air that had shaped his life. "Can I help?" he offered, spotting two small figures huddled together in the alley. When Jack found them, his heart cracked open, an overwhelming surge of relief washing over him. "Lily," he cried, rushing to his daughter. But then his gaze landed on Emma, a living embodiment of vulnerability. In that critical moment, as three lives collided during the snowstorm's mightiest roar, a new kind of warmth ignited. Jack, Mark, and the girls became intertwined by their struggles. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With dawn's first light peeking through the storm, the town began its slow thaw from winter's grip. Jack faced Mark, their eyes speaking volumes, a blend of challenge, understanding, and lingering shadows of their pasts. The community spirit hovered, ready to embrace the girls and mend the gaping wounds of loneliness and despair. But would it lead Jack to forgive? And could Mark's heart finally open to the lives susceptible to change in a world so burdened by inequality? The fragile connections they forged hinted at profound revelations yet to come. The sun cut through the lingering clouds, casting a soft golden hue over the snow-drenched town. The morning felt significant, as if the very air pulsed with potential. Jack stood, still cradling Lily in his arms, absorbing the moment. Emma, shivering but alive, clutched at Lily's hand, her eyes reflecting both fear and a budding resilience. What happened?" Lily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jack looked down at her, his chest tightening again. She was so innocent, so full of life, and in that harrowing night, she had become a beacon for Emma. Mark, having found his purpose in that alley, knelt down to Emma's level. "You're safe now. You're not alone anymore," he said softly, his voice steady and reassuring. Emma's small frame seemed to relax at his words. The stoic billionaire had transformed into a gentle protector, offering her a warmth she desperately needed. Jack eyed Mark, curiosity and apprehension swirling within him. "What were you doing out here?" he asked, his tone carrying both gratitude and skepticism. "I came back to figure things out," Mark replied, glancing at the girls. "But tonight, I think I was meant to find you both." A flash of understanding passed between them. Two men from different worlds, bound by the same relentless storm and the lives of two precious girls. Jack was still processing the reality of his daughter's boldness, but Emma's fragility struck a different chord within him. "We need to get her somewhere warm," he said, urgency blossoming in his voice. They quickly led Emma away from the alley and into the brightening morning, where the town was slowly coming to life. The creeping chill of the night left a remnant of ice, but the warmth of new connections began to thaw it. As they approached a small diner, the smell of fresh coffee and pancakes wafted into the air. "Maybe we can get something to eat." "Huh?" Jack suggested, trying to ease the girls' anxiety. Inside, the din of morning chatter surrounded them. The waitress, a well-meaning woman with a kind smile, whipped around to greet them. "Hey there, what can I get for?" Why she froze, taking in the sight of the two girls. "Oh my goodness, are they okay?" Jack quickly explained as he ordered a feast for everyone. Just then, he spotted two men in the corner booth, their eyes narrowing in suspicion. Whispers began to swirl, fueled by the town's gossip mill. "Wasn't that the little girl from the alley?" one of them said, a tinge of disdain coloring his tone. Jack felt his jaw tighten, the scrutiny weighing down on him like the last remnants of the storm. Mark caught his glance, recognition dawning. "You're used to this, aren't you?" he said quietly. "They don't know what they're missing." Jack shrugged, his heart heavy with the burdens of judgment and expectations. "This town, it's been tough." His voice lowered as he considered his own struggles to find a footing, his pride mingling with vulnerability. Yet, Lily's joyful laughter shattered that weight, igniting something deep within him, a determination to fight for her happiness. As warm pancakes landed in front of them, Jack looked from his daughter to the quiet Emma, both holding the potential for brighter futures. But just as he began to find hope in the warmth of that small diner, the door swung open, and a gust of cold air swept in, ushering in shadows from the past. A figure entered, unmistakably familiar and unwelcome. "What are you doing here?" the man growled, eyes sweeping the room before landing on Jack. In that moment, the warmth of the diner shifted, and the fragile connections just forged with Mark and the girls faced an unexpected test. Would they stand together against the tides of judgment and fear, or would the weight of the past pull them all apart? As the tension thickened in the air, Jack's heart raced, knowing a pivotal moment was about to unfold. Would this bring them closer, or shatter the fragile bonds they had just begun to weave? Jack's heart pounded in his chest as he locked eyes with the man who had just entered the diner. In that split second, memories flashed like a film reel through his mind, moments filled with anger, betrayal, and regret. It was Tom, the embodiment of Jack's past struggles. "Jack, you shouldn't be here." Tom's voice rang out, a mix of accusation and mockery. The noise of the diner faded into the background, leaving an oppressive silence in its wake. Jack clenched his fists, feeling the urge to protect Lily and Emma from this unwelcome confrontation. "Look, I'm just trying to keep them safe," Jack replied, his voice steady even as his pulse quickened. He exchanged a glance with Mark, silently seeking strength. The quiet resolve in his friend's expression urged him on. Jack had fought hard to build a life for Lily, and he wasn't about to let Tom disrupt that. Tom stepped closer, an arrogant smirk on his face. "Safe? You think dragging them into this mess is safe? You're barely holding your own life together." The sneer made Jack bristle. He shifted Lily in his arms, shielding her from Tom's barbed words. "You don't know what happened last night," Jack snapped. "You don't know anything." Mark moved slightly in front of Jack, a barrier of calmness amidst the brewing storm. "Why don't you back off?" "They don't need you here," he said, his voice cool and formidable. There was no doubt he wouldn't let the others see the fear and hurt painted on Jack's face. Jack felt a flicker of gratitude towards Mark. It was a rare thing to find an ally willing to stand up against Tom, who thrived on causing chaos. Just when it seemed like Tom would be ready to escalate this encounter, the waitress reappeared, a warm smile back on her face. "Can I get you something?" she cut in, oblivious to the tension that had gripped the table. The momentary distraction gave Jack a chance to breathe, to think. "We're fine," he replied, but Tom's presence still loomed over the table like a dark cloud. The waitress gave a tight-lipped smile, sensing something was off, but she thought better and moved away to check on another table. "Let me help you out of this mess, Jack," Tom said. His words dripped with sarcasm. "You're out of your league now with these little girls. It's not a game anymore." Jack's stomach churned with anger. Tom didn't understand the bond forming here. Lily and Emma deserved every chance to feel safe and loved. They'd already suffered enough. "Get out," Jack said, his voice rising above the ambient noise of the diner. "You don't get to dictate what happens to us anymore. I will protect them." Tom's expression shifted surprise, then contempt. "Protect them? You're the one who needs protection." He began to laugh, a bitter sound that grated against Jack's ears. But just then, Lily squeezed Jack's hand tighter, her small voice breaking through the haze of confrontation. "Daddy, I'm not scared," she said, looking bravely at Jack. A small flame ignited in Jack. He wasn't just protecting his children, he was fighting for their future. Before he could respond, Tom stepped back, eyeing the girls with an unsettling mixture of amusement and disdain. "You'll regret this, Jack. People like me always come back around," he warned before turning to leave. That warning hung in the air long after he walked out, a cloudy shadow lingering just beyond the diner's threshold. As a wave of relief washed over Jack, he met Mark's gaze, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. They were in this together. But he could feel that the past wouldn't let go easily. It was like a weight they'd have to carry. Lily leaned against Jack, her trust in him invigorating but fragile. He longed to reassure her, but the fear of what Tom might do next gnawed at him. Could he really keep her safe, not just from the dangers of the storm but also the demons of their past? Just then, Emma looked towards the window, her expression shifting from confusion to alarm. "Look," she exclaimed as she pointed outside. Jack whipped his head in the direction she was indicating and his heart dropped anew. A large black SUV had pulled up, its engine idling ominously. The door swung open, revealing a man with a stern face and an unsettling air of authority. "Who is that?" Mark asked, his protective instincts kicking in again. Jack's gut twisted. "I don't know. But something tells me we're not out of danger yet." He felt the weight of their situation pressing down on them again. Would this man bring yet another storm into their lives? He couldn't shake the feeling that their fight was only just beginning. The man emerging from the SUV seemed to command attention as he strode towards the diner. Jack felt a chill race down his spine. There was something about the way the man carried himself, confident, cold, that sent a jolt of panic through his veins. Lily, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, clung tighter to Jack. "Daddy, who is he?" she whispered, her tiny voice barely audible over the din of forks clinking against plates. "I don't know, sweetie," Jack murmured back, trying to keep his voice steady despite his racing heart. He felt the scrutiny of the unfamiliar man as he approached them, eyes sharp and assessing. Mark stood, positioning himself protectively in front of Jack and the girls. "Stay back," he warned, his voice firm and unwavering. The man stopped a few feet away, folding his arms over his chest. "I'm looking for Jack Miller," he said, his tone authoritative and icy. Jack swallowed hard, the name feeling like a noose tightening around his throat. "What do you want?" he replied, every instinct urging him to protect Lily and Emma. The man's lips curled into a small smile that didn't reach his eyes. I have business with you. It's important. There was a hint of menace in his words, an unspoken threat that left Jack's stomach churning. Who sent you? Jack demanded, feeling the weight of his past pressing down. Every instinct told him that whatever this was, it wouldn't be good. The man took a step closer, his expression unfaltering. Doesn't matter who sent me. What matters is how you're going to handle the situation. From the corner of his eye, Jack could see the other patrons of the diner glancing over, curiosity mixed with concern written all over their faces. The waitress, oblivious to the growing tension, buzzed around the room, refilling drinks and apologizing for the wait. Jack's mind raced. The last thing he wanted was to bring any of this chaos upon Lily and Emma. You're scaring my daughters, he said, trying to keep his voice low and calm. You don't need to be here. Oh, I think I do, he replied, his smile widening slightly, revealing a chilling glint in his eyes. You're in deeper than you realize, Jack. Things are about to get complicated. Before Jack could respond, the man took another step closer, lowering his voice. You can come with me quietly, or I can make this very messy for you and your little family. Your choice. Jack's heart raced. He understood the threat behind the man's words. The urgency of protecting Lily and Emma surged within him like wildfire. In that moment, Jack realized that he couldn't back down. There was too much at stake. Mark, he called, casting a quick glance at his friend. Their eyes locked, the unspoken understanding passing between them. This was a fight they were going to have to face together. Just then, Emma tugged on Jack's sleeve, her eyes wide with fear. Daddy, is he gonna hurt us? She asked, her voice trembling. Jack knelt down to her level, forcing a smile despite the storm raging inside him. No, sweetheart, listen to me. I won't let anyone hurt you. Promise. But deep down, the fear gnawed at him. Could he keep that promise? The man continued to stare, unimpressed by Jack's feigned confidence. Time's running out, Jack, he said, his voice steady and unwavering. With a deep breath, Jack straightened up, determination flooding through him. I won't go anywhere with you. You can't just walk in here and threaten us. Every word felt like a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. The man's eyes narrowed, but just as he opened his mouth to respond, the diner's door swung open another time. A rush of wind and an unfamiliar face stepped in, looking frantic. Jack, the newcomer exclaimed, eyes darting around the room before landing on him. We have to go now. Jack's mind reeled. Who was this person? What had they brought with them? Who the hell are you? The stern man asked, his annoyance palpable. I don't have time to explain. The newcomer shouted back, urgency thick in their voice. It's not safe here. Jack was caught between possibilities, unable to process the growing threat. One thing was clear: he needed to protect Lily, Emma, and even Mark. But how? As the world around him blurred, Jack realized they were at a crossroads. Would they stay and fight, or flee into the unknown? He felt the weight of the moment pressing on him. What decision would change everything? Make a choice, Jack, the ominous figure said, and in that tense moment Jack knew he was running out of time. Jack's heart pounded in his chest, but he could hear the desperation in the newcomer's voice slicing through his panic. What do you mean it's not safe? The stranger stepped forward, their eyes darting between Jack and the menacing figure. This isn't just a personal issue, Jack. There are people involved, powerful people. We've got to go before they show up. The man with the cold smile seemed unfazed, a predator waiting for the right moment to strike. I wouldn't choose to run if I were you. It makes you look guilty, he taunted, leaning further forward as if he could smell the fear emanating from Jack. Get away from them, Mark shouted, stepping closer to Jack, fists clenched. The standoff hummed with tension, every second feeling drawn out like an elastic band ready to snap. Listen. Jack stepped closer to the newcomer, desperation lacing his voice. Are you sure we can trust you? Who sent you? I'll explain later, but right now please, we have to move. The urgency was palpable, laced with a hint of fear that Jack couldn't ignore. Shaky hands gripped Lily and Emma's shoulders, and he had a heartbeat to decide. Could he risk everything on this stranger's words? The choice felt like a heavy anchor in his stomach. "All right, we'll go," he said, his voice firm but quivering at the edges. The man in front of them, however, wasn't ready to let go that easily. "Wrong choice, Jack. You think running will save you? It just puts a bigger target on your back." Jack felt a surge of anger. How had he allowed this man to control the narrative? "Let us find out just how wrong I am," he spat back, grabbing Emma's hand tightly, while Lily followed close behind. With a quick nod from the newcomer, they turned to flee. Mark stayed close, forming a wall between Jack and the stranger with the icy demeanor. Jack could feel his heart thudding in his ears, loud enough to drown out the world around him. They rushed through the diner, past startled patrons and the waitress who had just brought a fresh pot of coffee to a table nearby. Out the back, the newcomer shouted as they dashed toward the kitchen. The air was thick with grease and the smell of burnt toast, but Jack didn't care. He had to keep moving. They pushed through the swinging door and into the alley behind the diner. The concrete felt cold underfoot, but the chill in the air was eclipsed by the heat of adrenaline coursing through his veins. "Which way?" Mark asked, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Anywhere that's not here," the stranger shouted and pointed down the alley. They took off running, but as they rounded a corner, Jack's pulse quickened even more. The street ahead was empty, but he could feel the weight of the man's gaze still scraping against his back. He knew they didn't have much time. "Who's after us?" Jack yelled. He needed answers, the girls needed stability. "Not now," the stranger replied, glancing over their shoulder. "Just trust me. I'll get you to safety." Jack felt a mixture of hope and doubt swirling in his gut. Could the stranger really deliver on that promise? A commotion erupted behind them, voices raised. Jack turned, catching a glimpse of the man from the diner striding out of the back entrance, fury radiating off him like heat waves. "Run!" Jack shouted, pulling Lily and Emma forward as they sprinted down the street, heart adjusting to a frantic rhythm. Then came the sound that froze Jack's blood, a sharp crack like thunder. He could feel every pulse and every breath echoing within him as they pounded the pavement, the world spinning in a blur of colors and confusion. What had he just gotten them into? As a siren wailed in the distance, Jack glanced back at the chaos. His instincts screamed at him to protect his daughters at all costs. But amid the chaos, could he really protect them from whatever storm was brewing ahead? The unknown loomed large, and now, even the path of escape was fraught with danger. What would be waiting around the next corner? Would they escape, or would they be caught in a web thicker than ever imagined? The air was thick with tension as they sprinted down the street. The echo of the crack shattered their fleeting sense of security. Jack's mind raced, heart slamming against his ribs. The gravity of what was happening wrapped around him like a vice. "Dad, what is going on?" Lily cried, her voice tinged with fear. Jack could feel her hand shaking in his. "I don't know yet, sweetheart," he replied, trying to keep his tone steady, hiding the panic rising in his throat. They turned another corner, and Jack glanced back, his breath hitching. The man from the diner was gaining on them, his figure a dark shadow chasing them through the dim twilight. "Keep moving. Don't stop," he urged, tightening his grip on Emma's hand. "Where are we going?" Mark shot back, desperately trying to shield them, eyes darting every which way for an escape route. "Trust me," the stranger shouted again, leading them through a narrow alley. Jack could barely keep up with the quick pace, but he didn't dare slow down. Every second counted, and the churning in his stomach grew with the thought of what could happen if they were caught. As they reached the end of the alley, the newcomer skidded to a halt at a chain-link fence. "Over," they barked, scrambling up the rusted metal with the ease of someone trained for escape. Jack's heart pounded in his chest as he pushed Lily up and then lifted Emma onto the fence, desperate breaths mingling with the cold air. They scrambled over and dropped into a patch of tall grass on the other side. The air felt heavier here, thick with unspoken words and desperate thoughts. They landed softly, adrenaline rattling Jack's bones. "Quickly, this way." The stranger pointed toward a narrow road, leading into a quiet neighborhood. Jack's instinct screamed at him, But he didn't have time to hesitate. He could hear the voice of the man from the diner echoing in his mind, sharp and biting, threatening. He thudded forward, urging his daughters to follow. "Do you know them?" Jack asked, breathless. The uncertainty felt like ice settling deep in his stomach. "I said I'd explain later," the stranger shot back, glancing behind. "We need to get you somewhere safe." They dashed down the road, the shadows growing longer as dusk slipped into night. Jack felt exposed, each step feeling like it could lead them closer to danger. The lights from the houses looked welcoming, but paranoia gnawed at him. Was he leading his girls into a trap? "What are you going to do?" he pressed. "Who is after us?" The stranger paused, just momentarily, catching a crack of light glinting off a car's mirror. "Look," they said, dropping their voice. "There are people who want something from you. I'm here to keep you safe, but we can't stay on the roads too long." Jack swallowed hard, emotions colliding inside of him, a volatile mix of fear, anger, and a flicker of hope. "What could they possibly want with us?" "This is bigger than you know," the stranger stated, glancing back. "You've unwittingly stumbled into something dangerous." Suddenly, the oppressive silence was broken by the sound of an engine revving. Jack's heart sank, a sickening realization crashing over him. The chase wasn't over. "Get down," he shouted, pulling Lily and Emma to the ground. They dove behind a low fence just as a dark car roared past, tires skidding against the pavement. Jack held his breath, every instinct on high alert. Would they be found here? How would he keep his daughters safe? Curling closer to them, he felt fear seeping through every crack of his resolve. He glanced up at the stranger, who was holding their breath, too, eyes narrowing as they scanned the area. "We have to move now." "Where?" Jack asked, desperation creeping into his voice again. "I know a place. Just trust me." With no other choice, Jack nodded. They pushed themselves back up, ready to move. Just then, a voice rang out in the distance, sending shivers down Jack's spine. They went this way. They were coming. The hunt was far from over, and the stakes had never been higher. What secrets lay ahead? Could their companion truly protect them from the storm? Jack's heart raced as they sprinted again, the promise of safety still just out of reach. His mind was a jumble of thoughts, but the loud voice shouting for them drove him forward faster. He sprinted past cars parked carelessly on the street, their dull metal shapes blurring in his peripheral vision. Every instinct screamed at him to find shelter, a place to hide. "Stay close," he yelled over his shoulder, glancing back to see Lily and Emma struggling to keep pace, fear gripping their innocent faces. He didn't know what danger lurked behind them, only that staying together was their best chance. "Dad, I'm scared," Lily whimpered, her voice trembling as they turned another corner. "I know, baby, but we're going to be okay," he reassured her, his voice shaky yet firm. He felt her grip on his hand tighten as if she could draw strength from him. The stranger led them toward a cluster of trees that lined the edge of a small park, their branches swaying lightly in the breeze. "We need to cut through here," they instructed, glancing back once more, urgency dripping from each word. Jack hesitated for just a moment. He could see the eerie silhouettes of the trees against the darkening sky, shadows creeping toward them like fingers stretching out to grasp what they could. But the alternative, facing that man alone, terrified him more. "Let us go," Mark urged, already moving. As they ducked beneath the low-hanging branches, Jack's mind churned. What had he gotten them into? The questions hung heavy in the air around them, and it felt like they were running from more than just a person. Was there something larger looming in the shadows? They broke free of the trees into an open area littered with dry leaves. Jack stumbled slightly, rolling outwards to keep from losing his girls. Just past the clearing stood an old, run-down house. It looked abandoned, but it was all they had. Inside, the stranger called, waving them forward. Jack pushed Lily and Emma ahead of him, keeping watch as they rushed toward the door. With a quick shove, they entered the dimly lit room, the smell of mildew hitting him like a wall. "Close the door," the stranger urged, their tone frantic. Jack slammed the door behind them, breathing hard. "What now?" All of you into that room. They pointed to a small door at the far end of the room, an escape route, perhaps. Jack's heart sank. This was really happening. As they hurried into the neighboring space, Jack kept a protective eye on the door, imagining the man breaking in at any moment. He glanced at the stranger. What is this place? Who are you? The stranger shifted nervously, their face illuminated by a flicker of light from a nearby window. You'll find out soon enough. Just then, the sound of tires skidding on gravel reached them through the thick walls, the growl of an engine drawing closer. Jack felt his breath quicken, anticipation settling in his bones like ice. Don't move, the stranger whispered, urgency creeping into their voice. Jack clutched his daughters tighter, feeling every heartbeat against his ribs. As if sensing their fear, the stranger added, trust me no matter what happens. I won't let anyone hurt you. That promise hung in the air, fragile and delicate. But could he really believe them? Jack's thoughts scattered, his heart pounding in such a rhythm that it felt unsteady. Would they make it out of this alive? The question weighed heavy on him, twisting in his gut. Just then, the beams of headlights flickered across the cracks in the door, casting eerie shadows around them. The sound of heavy footsteps reverberated outside, echoing into the stillness of the moment. Would they find them here? The air thickened with uncertainty, the tension tightening like a noose. And then came the knock, hard and demanding. Jack's heart dropped. Who was on the other side? Could they really trust this stranger when a storm of chaos was raging just beyond the walls? With his daughters flanking him, would he have to protect them not just from the shadows outside but from their own disillusionment in this already mad world? He leaned closer to the door, every nerve ending raw, ready for whatever was coming next. The knock echoed like thunder in Jack's ears, sending shivers down his spine. It was a sound that stirred every instinct to fight or flee. He glanced at Lily and Emma. Their wide eyes reflected pure terror. The innocence of their youth intersected with the harsh reality of their situation. Shoo! The stranger hissed, backing away from the door, eyes darting around the dim room. Jack wanted to cling to their words, to trust that this unknown figure had a plan, but doubt crept in like the chill of the evening air. Jack felt the weight of his responsibilities pressing down on him. His daughters needed him more than ever. He had always been the protector, the strong one. What if they find us? Emma whispered, burying her face in Jack's side, her small body trembling against him. We'll think of something, Jack promised, though his heart felt heavy with uncertainty. They were just three scared souls in a world that seemed intent on tearing them apart. Outside, the footsteps grew louder, moving closer, and Jack's muscles tensed like a coiled spring. The stranger eased into the corner, clutching something behind their back. Listen to me, the stranger said, their voice urgent but low. If they get in, I need you to stay quiet. No matter what. Promise me. Jack nodded, though dread pooled in his stomach. He couldn't speak, words felt too cumbersome. Fear curled around his throat like a vine, squeezing the air from his lungs. The sound of keys rattling was enough to send Jack's heart into a frenzy. It was unmistakably there, the voice of a man, deep and mocking, calling out into the darkness. Come on out. Everyone. No need to be shy. Who is that? Lily asked, her voice a whisper soaked in fear. Jack squeezed her hand tighter. I don't know, but we won't let him in. Stay behind me, he instructed the girls, positioning himself between them and the door. He felt adrenaline coursing through him, a primal instinct to protect what mattered most. The door handle rattled, and Jack braced himself. Whatever was on the other side would have to get through him first. The tension ratcheted up, feeling almost alive. Then, the hinges creaked, and the door swung inward slowly. The figure was tall, enveloped in shadows, but Jack could see a glint of metal in their hand. The man leaned into the dim light and smirked, an expression so smug it sent ice through Jack's veins. Looks like I found the party, he said, eyes narrowing as they scanned the cramped room. The air crackled with dread as Jack's heart raced faster than ever. He could feel his daughters trembling, and he could almost hear their silent prayers for safety. But in that moment, something shifted within Jack. Maybe it was the sheer will to survive. Maybe it was the strength of a father's love. Whatever it was, it ignited a fire in him. "Get back," Jack growled, stepping forward, ready to confront the man. He had faced fear before, but not like this, not with his girls depending on him. "What are you going to do?" The stranger chuckled, but the mockery fell flat in the presence of Jack's determination. "I'll do whatever it takes," Jack replied, voice steady despite the trembling of his hands. In those heated moments, an unexpected clarity swept over him. No matter the threat, he would protect his daughters at all costs. "What if he has a weapon?" Lily whispered, glancing nervously at Jack. Jack didn't know how to answer. He glanced back at the stranger, who now looked at him with a mix of intrigue and amusement. His mind raced through potential outcomes, weighing options like burdens. Then, another noise broke through the haze, a sharp crack, like thunder rupturing the tension. Everyone turned, startled, hearts pounding in sync. Outside the house, chaos erupted. "Get down," the stranger shouted, eyes wild with panic. The moment stretched, and Jack felt his resolve steeling. But what lay beyond that door was still a mystery, a threat or a lifeline. The storm outside raged in all its fury, and inside, secrets hung in the air, ready to be uncovered. And that was the moment he knew something had to give. Jack stepped close to the door, ready for anything. What choice would he make, and who would end up standing by his side when the dust settled? Would he face the storm head-on, or would the storm swallow them whole? In the shadows, the truth lingered, waiting to break free. Jack's heart thumped furiously as the storm raged on outside, wrapping the house in a shroud of anxiety. The chaotic sounds of the world beyond the door bellowed like a beast, relentless in its wrath. He knew he had to act, not just for himself, but for his daughters who depended on him. The stranger's urgency echoed in his mind, "Stay quiet, stay safe." "Where should we go?" Jack whispered to the stranger, trying to gauge their plan while keeping his voice low. "Away from this door," the stranger replied sharply, still clutching whatever was hidden behind their back. Jack's gaze flicked to the girls. Their tiny forms seemed swallowed by the shadows, eyes wide with fear. He couldn't freeze. Not now. He motioned for Lily and Emma to move toward the back of the room. "Stay close, girls," he urged, his voice steadying. The weight of the moment sat heavy on his shoulders. Jack took a deep breath. The air was electric with tension and expectation. He glanced back at the door, bracing himself for whatever might come through. What if this was a diversion? What if danger lurked on both sides? Another crash sounded outside, and the walls of the house vibrated. Jack's resolve hardened. His instincts screamed at him to protect his daughters, to shield them from the unknown. Suddenly, the stranger stepped forward, revealing a small, metallic object, an old pocket knife. "I can create a distraction," they said, determination shimmering in their eyes. "When I do, you need to get to the back window. It leads to the alley. It's your best chance." Jack weighed the stranger's words. Trust was a fragile thing in moments like these. But looking at the girls, at the way fear clung to them like a second skin, he felt that to hesitate now could mean losing everything. "Okay," he said, meeting the stranger's gaze. "Just be careful." The stranger nodded, their body taut with readiness as they moved to the door, knife gripped tightly. Jack turned back to his daughters. "Stay hidden, no matter what." Their frightened nods made his heart clench. "Let us do this," the stranger murmured, drawing in a deep breath. They kicked the door wide open. The jagged wind rushed in, swirling debris like phantom dancers everywhere. And through the bluster, Jack could see the dark figure of the man from before, now furious at the open door. "What's this?" the man shouted, eyes wide, caught off guard. The stranger flung the knife across the room, the blade gleaming as it sailed through the air. It landed with a thud just behind the man's foot, causing him to stumble backward in shock. "Run!" the stranger yelled, giving Jack the opening he needed. "Now!" Jack commanded, snatching the girls and racing to the back of the room. Heart pounding, He felt their small hands clutch his tightly as they moved toward the window. Outside, the chaos blurred with the storm, but Jack's focus narrowed. They had to escape. They had to get out. But before they could reach the window, a guttural roar shattered the air, and Jack turned to see the man barreling through the open door, fury etched across his features. "Get back here." The man howled, advancing toward them. Panic surged through Jack. They had mere seconds. He shoved Lily and Emma toward the window, urging them to climb through, even as the shadow of danger crept closer. Would they make it? With the storm as a backdrop of pure chaos, Jack knew the moment was now or never. He took a step forward, ready to face whatever might come next. But as they reached the valve of escape, one final realization struck him. The man wasn't just hunting them. He needed something deeper, something that tied them all to this unfolding nightmare. The truth was just a breath away, and in the midst of the theft of innocence, he could feel the echoes of choices not yet made. What did the stranger know? And what would leaving the house truly mean for them all? Jack's heart raced as he pushed Lily and Emma through the window, the stormy wind howling around them. He climbed through after them, pulling them into the cool night air. The adrenaline coursed through his veins, blinding him to everything but the need to escape. "Run. We have to go now," he urged, glancing back at the diner. The shadows within were alive, and he could feel the man's rage spilling out into the night. They sprinted toward a cluster of trees at the end of the street, breathing hard, the adrenaline propelling them forward. Jack's mind raced, both from fear and the weight of responsibility. This newfound ally was a risk, but they needed help. They needed a way out. "Where are we going?" Lily asked, her small voice trembling with anxiety. Jack squeezed her hand as they reached the trees, trying to provide comfort. "Somewhere safe, sweetheart. Just stick close to me." The stranger led the way, their body language exuding urgency. "This way," they whispered sharply, darting into the woods. Jack followed, his instincts protesting against the darkness but knowing he had to protect his daughters. The thick branches overhead sheltered them from prying eyes, but every crackle of leaves beneath their feet felt amplified in the still air. They moved in silence, hearts pounding in a rhythm that matched their fears. Minutes felt like hours as they traversed the terrain. Breathless and panting, they finally halted at a small abandoned shed. It stood sturdy but forlorn, shrouded in shadows, a potential hideout. "Inside, quickly," the stranger urged, swinging the door open. Jack ushered Lily and Emma inside, their breaths forming small clouds in the chilly air. Once inside, they huddled together, waiting to hear what the stranger had to say. "Are we safe here?" Emma asked, her voice a whisper. "For now," the stranger replied, their brow creased in concentration. "I'll explain everything. But first, we need to know they're not following us." Jack peered out through the gap in the door, watching the darkness close around them. His heart thudded in his chest. Who were those people? What do they want from us? The stranger ran a hand through their messy hair, revealing a glimpse of the fear that mirrored Jack's own. "They want you, Jack. They want what you have." "What do you mean?" Jack felt confusion wash over him, his protective instincts surging. "I don't have anything worth taking. That's where you're wrong," the stranger shot back, urgency dripping from each word. "You're tied to something much bigger, a past that's hunting you down. They're waiting for you to trip, to crumble. But you can't let them." Jack swallowed hard, the pieces of the puzzle starting to fit together. The man from the diner, the threats, they weren't just random. They were meant to tear him apart, hurt his family. "But why?" "Focus on your girls," the stranger said softly, recognizing the internal battle in Jack's eyes. "They need you not just to escape, but to understand that none of this is their fault. You're their protector. Even if the storm rages within and without, you're the anchor keeping them steady." Jack felt the weight of his daughter's trust rest heavily on his shoulders. "I will protect them, no matter what." A small smile flickered on the stranger's face, turning serious again. "We can't linger long. I have ties to people who can help. But you must be willing to trust me." "Why should I trust you?" Jack challenged. "Because I'm here, aren't I?" I want to see you safe. You're not alone in this fight. Not anymore. As the retreating footsteps of the man from the diner faded into the distance, Jack drew a deep breath. He felt the warmth of Lily's small hand in his, the resolve in her eyes urging him on. Emma stood bravely beside her big sister, their innocence almost radiant against the chaos surrounding them. Okay, Jack said finally, the strength renewing itself within him. Let us do this. We'll fight together. The stranger nodded, determination shining in their eyes. Then let us move. First, we need to find a safe route out of town. I have a plan. As they emerged from the shed, the winds howled a little less fiercely, as if respect for their determination quieted the storm. Jack glanced down at his daughters, who stood tall beside him now. The world was still uncertain, filled with shadows and threats, but at this moment, they had each other and an ally. With every step they took, Jack felt a transformation anchor within him, a resolve to fight back against the tides that threatened to steal his future. He could see the glimmers of hope in nestled corners, flickers of a better life waiting to be grasped. And as they dashed toward the unknown, he wasn't just running from darkness. He was running toward a new dawn, one where he would cling to the vibrant light of his daughters, no matter how turbulent the storm outside. This was their moment, and they were going to seize it together. Now hold tight, loyal viewers. If you loved this heart-stopping conclusion, you need to subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will leave you breathless. And listen up. Leave a like now, because it fuels our journey and helps bring more tales like this to life. I want to hear from you. Comment below with your thoughts on this incredible ending. What was your favorite moment? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this transformation and joy. Your support makes all the difference in keeping this channel thriving. Let us show the world the power of connection.